Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here. And it's only blooming Christmas, isn't it? Yes, it's that time of year again, a time of goodwill to all men and Christmas cheer and mince pies and sustaining the economy. And maybe you know someone who's got a Switch, someone who's getting a Switch, maybe you've got a Switch yourself or whatever. This is just a Christmas gift guide, obviously. Use it however you see fit. If you're watching this in 2020, you can still use it. It'll still be relevant. We're going to look through 4 different categories of stuff, and there will be links in the description and indeed the top pinned comment that you can skip forward if you like, if they've already got the console, for example, because we're going to be talking about the console. Also, bear in mind that this video will be designed for everyone to view, not just people who are, sort of keyed up with the Switch. So if I'm going over some basic stuff, that's why. But as I'm sure you can probably tell from the image I shamelessly nicked and edited from Nintendo UK, I've already got everything I want this year. That's not true, I want a stand mixer as well. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling, let's dive right into things. Right, let's start off with the console itself. The Switch, what is it? It's a games console, obviously. If someone you know has been asking for one, you should be aware that there are in fact 2 main kinds of Switch. You've got the Nintendo Switch, it's just called the Nintendo Switch, but you've also got the Nintendo Switch Lite, which isn't always upside down, that's just me. The original Nintendo Switch comes with these detachable controllers called Joy-Con. It can be docked into a dock that you can kind of maybe see there, is that in shot? Meaning that you can play the console on the TV if you prefer, or you can just do it handheld with the screen, as you'll see when it turns on. Thank goodness it's got battery. The Switch Lite, on the other hand, as per the name, is a smaller, more portable system that is more designed for people who simply want to do handheld play rather than plugging it into the dock and therefore a TV, because this will not dock. This is exclusively handheld only, and I really hope this has got battery. Haha! Whilst the standard Switch is indeed a much more versatile machine, it is however more expensive. This will retail for this much, I'm not going to say it out loud because different regions and all that good stuff. Whilst the Switch Lite, which is sturdier because it doesn't have those detachable controllers, they are stuck on, it's smaller as well, cheaper. Overall, it's a great choice for kids who, if you don't want them playing on the TV, let's not beat around the bush. These little sausages retail for this price that you see here, and that's RRP. You may well have better luck if you look elsewhere. One final thing to note, and we'll be talking about it more in detail later on right at the end under the warnings situation, because yeah, there are a couple of things you want to keep an eye out for. There are in fact 2 versions of this original Switch. One of which is a more recent version and has a better battery life. We'll be going over more about that later on, just hold your horses. Now let's talk about the important stuff. Yes, the games. The Switch would be nothing if not for the games that make it a games console, because then what would be the point? You can watch YouTube, I suppose. Let's start things off with an absolute classic and a must-have for any Switch owner, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yes, it is the latest game in the Mario Kart series, and considering it is also the most popular game on Switch, you can probably see why we say it's a must-have. Race around as Mario, loads of other Mario characters. There are also Animal Crossing characters and Link from The Legend of Zelda. Seriously, it's undoubtedly the best Mario Kart game that has ever been released. Cue some people in the comments telling me that Super Circuit is better. Moving on, we have got Super Mario Odyssey. Yes, another Mario game. They're good. This is the latest 3D game in the Mario series, and whilst the older games are more sort of 2D and things like that, this is much more about exploration, running around, finding moons, and really stretching the limits of where you think something might be hidden. Overall, it's a really, really good time. Like, absolutely fantastic. I'm pretty sure. What do we give it? We reviewed it well. We gave it one of these. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. My great goggly goodness, this is easily one of the best games of the decade. Similar to Super Mario Odyssey, this is a game all about exploration, but whilst with Super Mario Odyssey, it's more contained and more enclosed off. Breath of the Wild is just this enormous expanse, and you are basically just given the keys to the game. You do a little tutorial on a tiny mini island first, a kind of microcosm, if you like, of the rest of the game, and then they say, off you go. You get given one main objective. You can run straight there and do it if you like, or you can just go around and do everything else that the game has to offer, and there is a lot. It is a game all about freedom, and I cannot recommend that you get it enough. It really is Honestly, one of the best games ever made. Luigi's Mansion 3, this is quite a different game. It's actually quite a recent game, but honestly, I don't think there's any better showcase for just what the Switch is capable of. Probably one of the best looking games on the Switch, and it's incredible fun to boot. You run around as Luigi in a haunted hotel trying to find Mario, Princess Peach, and several Toads as they've been trapped in paintings. Spooky stuff for Christmas, I know, but really, it's good. Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, we'd be lying if they said there wasn't a little bit of controversy surrounding this game, but overall, we still think that they are absolutely wonderful. It's a Pokemon game at the end of the day, hugely robust, some really nice additions included in this game as well, such as the Wild Area, which is a big open expanse that people can run around in and catch Pokemon. You can see other people online as well if you like. It's a fantastic good time. It's really, really excellent. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I'm gonna say it, this game is not for children. Do not buy this game for children. Good lordy no. There's a fair bit of violence involved, and blood, and gore, and nudity as well. I mean, but beyond that, it's also an extremely mature game in the way that it tells its story and things like that, and tackles a lot, and I mean a lot, of different subject matters that really aren't suitable for children and aren't really brought up in games enough, I think. If the person you're buying for is old enough, I cannot recommend this game enough. It's absolutely wonderful. Big open world, you play as Geralt, you kill things. Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. If the person you're buying for is old enough. Going back into a much more child-friendly area, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. For me personally, I'm a massive Super Smash Bros. Fan, and this is easily the best one they've ever made, like flat out. I don't care what people say. Some people say Melee's better. They're objectively wrong in my eyes. You can play as an all-star cast of Nintendo characters, as well as some third-party characters from other games as well. Honestly, there is no better fighting game out there, and I apologize to my boss who still doesn't consider it a real fighting game. It's okay, he's a Street Fighter boy. Slightly unusual one perhaps for the broader demographic, but really, give it a chance. Hollow Knight. Undeniably, not only just one of the best games on the Switch, one of the best games just full stop. You may look at this and think that it's a simple sort of running around adventure style game, but really, oh my great goggly goodness, you've got to give this a chance. I would say it's one of those games where if the recipient doesn't know about the game, they may look at it and think, what's this? They don't really know what's going on. They'll play it and they'll absolutely fall in love with it. You play as a nameless knight who wanders around this really decrepit fantasy world inhabited by nothing but insects, and you run around, well, I suppose bugs really, there's some spidery things, and your objective really isn't clear. It's again all about exploration. Honestly, one of the finest and most refined games ever to be released, and it's available on the Switch, and it's available for a song. I mean, if you were to buy it on the eShop rather than physically, it's like £10, and however much that is in dollars, you cannot get better value on Switch, seriously. This is a game that is well worth anyone's attention. And lastly for games, just eShop credit. If you don't know what to buy them, you can just buy eShop credit, you know, just on cards and stuff like that. Buy them one of them, it's like a gift card. They'll be happy as a clam. They can buy whatever game they like on the eShop. Primo. Let's move away from games and talk about accessories, because maybe you don't know what kind of game they want. Well, guess what, Bubkins? There's accessories, and these are some of them. Yes, the most straightforward thing you can buy for someone accessory-wise for the Switch is a pair of Joy-Con. Simple as that. These are very, very versatile controllers. They obviously slide onto the standard Switch, rather, good lord. They slide onto the standard Switch and just behave like standard controllers in that sense. However, they can also be used on their side as individual controllers as well, as you can see from all the buttons and sticks and things that I've dropped. Even if the person's getting or has already got a Switch Lite, the Joy-Con work with them as well. They don't slide on, but they do work wirelessly just fantastically, and that's really quite great. However, if you are buying it for someone who has a Switch Lite, you will need to get a way to charge them as well, because they're kind of designed to charge on the console, and you don't have that, so you can get either a charging grip, or indeed, which I don't have actually, or just any number of charging docks or peripherals or anything like that. Just have a quick Google search for Joy-Con charging, you'll see plenty of options. Then we've got the daddy of them all, yes, my notably quite dusty Nintendo Switch Pro controller. This is without a doubt the best controller available for the Nintendo Switch, bar none. This one that I've got's a little bit dusty and a little bit sort of knocked around a bit because I have just been using it flat out. And yes, I mean, yes, you can just play with a pair of Joy-Con like that, but honestly, nothing comes close to the comfort and the just overall build quality of a Nintendo Switch Pro controller. They are absolutely excellent. Pro controllers, however, are a little bit on the pricey side, and if you just want to get them a more traditional controller, well, there are also a number of wired alternatives as well for not a lot of money at all. I don't actually have any wired controllers with me anymore. I get sent an awful lot of controllers, and I can't keep all of them, so I end up giving them away, and the wired ones are the ones I gave away, sorry. But if you're on a budget or you just want to buy them another controller without forking out an enormous amount of money, which the Pro controllers admittedly are, there are plenty of wired options as well. We would definitely recommend going with an officially licensed one by Nintendo rather than just a generic third-party one, simply because they will be up to a higher standard overall than ones that third parties just churn out. Next up, something that's not only functional but also very pretty to look at: Amiibo. These are basically little figurines that also have some technology hidden in the base, and that means that when you scan them, on one of your controllers like this, they can interact with your game as well. Only specific games, and only specific Amiibo with specific games. However, they're also very, very, very nice models, and there's a huge range of them as well. If you don't know what to get someone, Amiibo are good, and they're not that expensive. Nice little stocking filler. But what about if the person you're buying for likes Nintendo and stuff, but maybe doesn't own a Switch and they're not really likely to get a Switch this year for one reason or another? Well, there are still a couple of things you can get them, a couple of things that we really recommend, one of which I'm currently wearing. Look, it's a Pikachu Christmas jumper. These are nice little things. I got a Mario Oneers here. Nice, good quality. They fill an entire screen when you're recording. I love me an ugly jumper, and these are great. They really fit the bill. Really bright and colorful, potentially interfering with the microphone. Just overall, yeah, they're nice things. I just like them. And you know, if they don't have a Switch, but you still want to get them something Nintendo related, these are pretty good. There is also a range of Nintendo themed calendars for the year of 2020, which are also nice and suitable. I myself have got one. My mother-in-law to be always buys us a Nintendo calendar, so yeah, we can prove that. This year was Zelda. So that's all the nice stuff, the stuff you should buy. Now it's time for the bad news overall. Well, more just sort of warnings, things to keep an eye out for. Do you remember earlier when I said there were two different kinds of Switch model? Well, yes there are, and unfortunately they basically look identical. Certainly just, you know, like this. Nintendo released a revised model with a better battery life just earlier this year, and undeniably, it is a much better one to go for. However, it can be very unclear which is which, especially if you're buying online. It can be very, very troublesome indeed. You basically want to look out for packaging that looks like this, rather than packaging that looks like this. The one with the primarily red background is the new improved model, and the one which has more of a sort of a grey background, as you can see here, that is the old model, and you really want to, if you can, avoid the old one, because the new one's got nearly double the battery life, which is a huge improvement. If you want to double check, then you can always look at the description of an item if you're buying online, and if it touts that the battery life is between 4.5 and 9 hours, that is going to be the new version. If it's any numbers other than that, it's going to be the old version, and if they don't say a battery life at all, it's probably the old version, so just be careful, okay? The next thing we want to warn you about is these. These are unofficial Joy-Con, and there are a lot of them out there. These are basically a cheaper alternative that are available on numerous websites, you know, including eBay and Amazon and things like that, and at first glance you sort of think, well, why would I buy the big expensive official ones when these look just as good? Well, I guarantee you they are not. They are built to a much lower standard, they are much cheaper, they are less reliable, and overall, I really wouldn't say worth your money. If you do know someone who is absolutely desperate for another pair of Joy-Con, and you really are on an absolutely really tight budget, then I would say potentially go for them. However, it's one of those situations where you'll buy these, you'll end up buying them twice, because they're just not as reliable. Go for official ones if you can afford them, because they will last you a lot longer and are overall just a lot better. Be very wary of copycats like this. And lastly, something very simple: Fortnite bundles, do not buy them! If the person you're buying for really wants a Nintendo Switch because they want to play Fortnite portably, then fair enough, we're not here to judge Fortnite as a game. However, their selling practices can be a little bit wobbly at times because you may well see bundles, saying includes Fortnite or big Fortnite logo on them. You do not need these bundles for the person to play Fortnite. Fortnite is a free-to-download game from the Nintendo eShop. It does not cost any money. You do not need to spend any money on it in order to get the most out of the game. Do not buy these bundles. They are kind of a swindle. All they basically are in-game items that maybe the person you're giving to doesn't even want. And there you have it. That is our Christmas buying guide, which ended up being quite a bit longer than I anticipated. There'll be loads of links to purchase in the video description if you want to buy anything that we featured in this video. Do bear in mind that some of those links will be affiliate links, and if you use them, some of that money may well go to support Nintendo Life, which would be lovely, but at the same time, if you'd rather just buy it your own or find it somewhere cheaper, we also encourage that too. Cheers. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you dress up that subscribe button in a little bit of tinsel and maybe even some fairy lights, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you dress that subscribe button up in a little bit of tinsel and maybe some fairy lights, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content.